So Mujeeb, you've got a little treat for me, haven't you? Well, a treat for all of us. Can we go and have a look?
We normally keep these vehicles inside, but I decided when you came here today that we would pull our 2 electric vehicles out that were really these 2 vehicles bookend the 2 most successful electric cars of the early 1900s.
Right.
The Baker Electric was designed by a gentleman in Cleveland. He was making ball bearings for carriages, and Walter Baker, when he created this electric car company, he was all about setting performance limits and trying to demonstrate the technology and pushing boundaries. His first attempt at that was actually a race car he designed. He made like a streamlined bullet car, and he loaded it with batteries, and it was the first automobile to ever go above 100 miles per hour.
You're kidding me.
And that was done very early in the history of his company. He started this company in right around 1900. And at 1902, he did this 100-mile-per-hour race.
Wow.
And he was able to successfully achieve that.
So he'd have been the fastest human being that had ever lived
That's
at
right.
that point in time.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
From my perspective, Baker did a second thing that was also a remarkable point in history, which is he designed an electric platform with Edison's nickel iron battery that did 201.6 miles of range on a single charge, all the way back to 1910.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, the more you explain this, the more we reference the past, the more we try to connect it to the present, and more to the point, build the future. It's just unreal.
And, from the standpoint of also how remarkable a job they did at engineering these vehicles, these were also very well-established platforms. They provided a comfortable ride. You could charge them at home. They had a very easy to understand powertrain. They loaded batteries in the front compartment and the rear compartment. These are obviously now modern lead acid batteries, but at the time the batteries were 42 volts in the front, 42 volts in the back.
Yeah.
And as Baker designed his powertrain, they actually had a gear, a mechanical barrel, that as you rotated the barrel through a lever, it changed the voltage from being 2 42-volt batteries in parallel to connecting them in series, which then increased the speed of the motor. So their equivalent of a transmission was to basically reconnect the battery from being in parallel to being in series, and that's what made this DC vehicle go faster as you accelerated.
And then we've got another one. So Nick's kindly helping me out here.
Yeah. So
hi, Nick. Thanks for your help, Nick.
The second,
He's a very good cameraman.
This was actually the highest volume electric vehicle of the day. This is a 1922 Detroit Electric.
So can you just give me a frame of reference for this in relation to the Model T Ford? So you say 1922. So this is around with the Model T Ford, isn't it?
That's right. Well, in 1907, William Anderson kicked off the factory that built this vehicle. And this vehicle went into production in 1907 and then stayed in production until 1939. And that period of time, they built around 35,000 Detroit Electrics in that factory in downtown Detroit.
Until 1939?
That's right, until 1939.
Good grief.
And it went through the electric cars, because they were a premium price point, went through a period of down during the Depression. And the Depression, really a lot of these manufacturers never came back after the Depression. So Baker, when he was in business, William Anderson had the idea to buy out from underneath Baker the motor company.
Word.
So he bought the motor company, and then that put Baker out of business. And so he ended up with a sort of monopolistic view that he could design and build and sell this electric car in higher volume by acquiring all of the supply chain.
Unbelievable. Mujeeb, something's happened. Someone's nicked the steering wheel.
No steering wheel back in the day was quite the carriage.
That's not a Zooks in disguise.
Exactly. Yeah. So I I actually love the lines of these vehicles. I mean,
they are nice. They're pretty.
They represent fantastic. And if you've ever heard of the Anderson connector, this is where the Anderson connector name came from. William Anderson, the designer of this vehicle, had his electric vehicle charging port, and that was where you charged the electric car. So you'd open that little cap, and this also had its batteries located in a compartment in the rear, just
lead acid again. Yeah,
exactly, similar fashion.
Oh wow, look at that!
And these are you know, modern lead acid batteries, but the compartment itself was a 42-volt battery, and they had a front and rear, again connected in fashion together, first in parallel, then in series, to get the vehicle to go faster.
So, Mujeeb, this is a fascinating historical kind of story, and as I say, connecting the past to the present. What do you think was the pivotal thing that stopped us going electric and took us on the internal combustion journey?
It was a trifecta of three things that happened around the same period of time. The first was that gasoline or petroleum products needed a new market, because lighting was previously all about the oil market, and when Edison's lighting strategy for electrification took off, the oil market was looking for a new home of who is my market.
Right.
Okay. Second, the combustion engine vehicle, through its simplicity of design and materials needs, started driving itself down in cost through the Model T invention, mass assembly line. As that cost structure dropped by a factor of 5 initially, and then by 6 and even 7 over time, that changed the market acceptance of that vehicle to the mass market.
Okay.
So now you had a mass market opportunity, plus you had a fuel source that was looking for a mass market. So as those things paired together, that wasn't quite enough to convince the whole market. The third important step that happened was the development of an alternative to Henry Ford's original crank.
Yeah, starter motor.
No one liked the crank.
Yes.
Even the crank was hard in the wintertime, but it was especially hard because if the crank took off and your hand was in the wrong spot, you could actually hurt yourself with that crank. So that crank was replaced with nothing short of the electric vehicle battery plus a starter motor. So the electric vehicle battery plus the starter motor created lighting and ignition and the ease of starting. And that actually, those three things together happened all around 1920. And from 1920, the race was on for the acceleration of the gasoline market, the eventual high cost of electric cars. Even though they were very well liked, they didn't have the capability of competing at the same cost structures.
There's so much to reflect on in all of this. That picture you've also got in there with some of your historical stuff, which is amazing, is that picture of Henry Ford and Thomas Edison sitting together. And when I came in this morning early, before, you know, I know you've been busy, I did have a little look at it, and I kind of thought, you know what? The thing recently, call it Jim Farley and Elon Musk, call it, you know, Bill Ford and Elon Musk if you like. This collaboration now on charging, to me, feels like a historic moment. Feels like a really significant moment, with all the repercussions to many people in many aspects. So no, it's not a simple, straightforward thing, but this is, I'm sort of, and this is highly unusual. Well, I'm sort of lost for words almost.
Yeah, well, I think we have a front row seat at a 100-year transition that's taking place on energy, and it's exciting because we don't know the future exactly. We can see what we think is going to happen. But just to be a part of it is fantastic.
It is. Listen, I'd love to go for a drive because I think you could set that up.
Yeah.
But I equally know you're really busy. Can we go and have a look around the business first?
Sure.
And then if we've got time, I'd love to have a ride for sure. But, well, thank you so much for giving us all of that kind of flavour, because I know there'll be plenty of people who know nothing about that. Some will be